This is the Reviewing Network Live, a weekly stream of consciousness recording session where I sit back with you folks out there, talk about some of the big news stories from the past week, and some other things I found that might be of amusement to you out there. I think you might get a kick out of it. Now, these are more like audio podcasts and are much longer than my usual videos and are also, for the most part, unedited and will contain some foul language. So, if you're easily offended by that, I advise you to maybe step back a bit, maybe go somewhere else. But hey, if you're up to the challenge, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Thanks. And for the 97th time ever, we are live from the Reviewing Network studios, and welcome everybody to another episode of the Reviewing Network Live on this couple days after the 4th of July. Hope you all had a good weekend. Hope you had a good holiday. Yeah, it's one of those weeks where literally nothing is going on. Everyone's celebrating the holidays, and everybody's out. There's no big entertainment news, unlike what we had last week. So I really got nothing for you this week. We just have the usual weekend box office, and that's pretty much it. There's only one real recommendation this week, and I think everybody knows what that is, but we'll get to that in a little bit here. But it is one of those weeks where literally nothing happened in terms of like entertainment news. I know there's a lot of news going on in other forums, especially our political world, but we try not to talk about those things here on this channel. So sorry if you don't want to get that. I just don't feel like doing that anymore. But anyway, what exactly are we going to do here today? Well, we're going to do the box office, and there is some stuff to talk about in terms of especially the number one movie. But other than that, it's going to be one of those relatively lazy weeks where that's just what you're going to get here. So I don't mind if anybody wants to go ahead and just skip this one and wait for next week. Hopefully we'll get some news stories out of it. But this is the weekend box office, so let's go ahead and get to it and start off with the number 5 film this week, which was 28 Years Later, which, yeah, this thing is pretty much dead on arrival. 3 weeks after its release, $4.6 million, 52.8% drop-off from last week, bringing in $60.2 million domestically, so it did hit its budget of $60 million overall, and it has already surpassed the $100 million mark, $125 million worldwide, so they're good on that front. They probably would have expected a lot more, especially considering this opened up to $30 million a couple weeks ago. And it's just chugging along at this point. I mean, there's literally nothing else that people want to see from it. It dropped off huge last week, had a still significant drop off this week, and it came and went. It made its money, and people are going to forget about this movie down the road. And I know I am, because it's, at least until we get to December, when it will more than likely be on my worst of the year list. The film that should be making more money, but it really isn't, because the world is just full of idiots right now. Number 4 on the list, Disney and Pixar's Elio, which dropped down again, $5.7 million this weekend, dropping 45.4% from last week, $55 million after 3 weeks. It's at $96 million worldwide. For a film like this that cost $150 million, that is not good. And yeah, it's just inexcusable, man, because yeah, there was a story there was a expose that came out on the Hollywood Reporter, not really the same company, the same guys that brought you the Rachel Zegler hit piece and Gal Gadot love piece from when Snow White bombed. But yeah, I find it amusing that after the second weekend was bad for Elio, that's when the Hollywood Reporter decided, yeah, put the expose out there so this movie can get more bad word of mouth. And it really doesn't need the bad word of mouth. It's a really good movie, and one that definitely deserves to be seen. And yet nobody is going to see it, which is painful, especially when I have to look at the number 3 movie doing way better. That's How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah, people would rather go see a live-action retread of something they've already seen before. A garbage live-action retread, mind you, but $11 million this weekend, only dropping 43%, which means it's now over $224 million domestically. If you count worldwide numbers, it's crossed the $500 million mark, so congratulations, America. You are fucking pathetic, just plain and simple. But number 2, the number 1 film from last week, that is F1 the movie, which dropped down from 54% from last week, $26 million, bringing its 2-week total now to $109.5 million. The budget on this was $150 million, and now it's over $293 million worldwide. So hey, Warner Brothers and Apple have a hit. Too bad the movie itself was not as great as people say it is. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I think is in a. I'll talk more about that in just a second here, but well, technically $200 to $300 million budget overall for this, but it is still making its money. It's doing better than a lot of the other Apple movies, so it's accomplishing something. But which brings us to the #1 movie, and maybe I'm just having my Stan moment from South Park when I'm getting older and I'm starting to realize that everything is just a pile of shit because I didn't like 28 Years Later, I didn't like How to Train Your Dragon, I didn't like F1, and I certainly didn't like Jurassic World Rebirth, which is the #1 movie. Not really much of a shocker, but it is what it is. $91.5 million if you count the 3-day totals. It opened on Wednesday, so it brought in $147.3 million, and I want to see something here because I saw something where it said that this was actually the highest opening 4th of July weekend of all time, this movie, and I don't think that's the case, but let me see. And I guess it is. I mean, I'm shocked. I'm honestly shocked because, we've had so many blockbusters opening up on a 4th of July weekend. You would think that this would not be the highest one of all, but the only one that comes close is Minions: The Rise of Gru, which brought in $123 million for its 5-day opening. But, this Jurassic Park World Rebirth brought in $141 million altogether after the weekend was over. Budget $147 million. $147 million. Worldwide, it's up to $318 million thus far. If you count and the budget on this was only $180 million. So, hey, congratulations, you guys made profit, which means we got another movie coming up, and which probably means another piece of garbage because holy mother of God. This is the first time I've seen a Jurassic Park movie since The Lost World where I just came out of it going like, this fucking sucks. And really, this movie does suck. It's just such a boring movie. I don't care about the characters in here. I get that they're played by great actors, but I'm sorry, they're just the same stock characters we've seen done before. I'm so sick and tired of the helpless family that gets trapped in here. Like, change your shit up here, for God's sake. And the dinosaurs themselves aren't even that fun to watch anymore. I was watching this, I'm just kind of like, wow, this is the first time I've ever watched one of these movies and thought to myself, the dinosaurs are fucking lame here. I mean, this is a lousy movie and made by people who should know better. Gareth Edwards is a great director. David Koepp is a great writer. It's got Scarlett Johansson. It's got Mahershala Ali. This is following up a series that I thought was pretty good, the Jurassic World Trilogy. But, nope. Not with this movie. It's so lazy. I forgot to mention this in my review yesterday, which I probably should have done. This movie is so lazy. It doesn't even have a good intro. Like, remember how the opening of every other Jurassic Park movie starts off with the theme opening up? The boom, like that. Like, you have that opening up, and then it continues into the Jurassic World movies. This one is so lazy, and so we don't give a fuck about trying to excite you anymore. It just starts off with the typical Universal and Amblin logo. That's it. You get the music, you get the original music and all that. Just like, I'm sorry. If you can't even do the theme right, the opening to get the people psyched for what they're about to see, you fucked up. You failed miserably. And this is exactly the type of thing that you should not be doing with a Jurassic Park movie. It's getting to the point now where I'm just so sick and tired of these movies. I finally reached that point where I'm just sick and tired of these movies. And like I said, I like Jurassic World Dominion, but I'm not going to sit there and pretend it was a great movie either. I mean, I'm sorry. Locusts are more evil than the dinosaurs are in that movie. A movie that is centered on dinosaurs, and they take a backseat to fucking locusts. I will never get over that, no matter how much I try, but there's still parts of that movie I love. I like the chemistry between the new generation Jurassic World team and the Jurassic Park team. I like some of the scenes in that movie. I like the action. I like some of the characters they introduced. I like the setups they introduced. I like the idea of seeing what this world now looks like with humans and dinosaurs coming together. And yet this movie starts off promisingly like a fun little Final Destination type of opening, And then after that, the thing just falls apart completely. And I just was taken aback by how much I hated this movie. I really am surprised and disappointed by how much I hated this. I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe I am like Stan from South Park. Maybe I am having my, everything is shit moment where it's just like, I just don't give a crap. It's like, there's nothing that can happen right now to make me excited for this. I'm just going to be nitpicking and going after all these things. But I don't know. I'm hoping that's not the case because I don't want to be a cynic. I want to enjoy good movies. I want to go into every movie and like it, but this one just didn't do it for me. I just don't know what it is, but hey, the marketing worked for it, the advertising worked, it suckered people in. Now I'm just really curious to see how Superman next week is going to hurt the box office for this, because it's going to this is going to have a massive drop off because everyone's going to going to be excited to see what Superman has to offer. And like, if that movie doesn't even bother to get me excited or get me good, I don't know what's going to happen to me, man. I don't know. Maybe I might just have to take a break from all this after it's said and done. I mean, I don't know. Just you know how you always tell people like, what's wrong? It's just like, it's there's so much going on. It's just the little things. It's the little things, like little things that wouldn't be so much of a big deal normally if it just happened one at a time. But when it just keeps piling and piling and piling and piling up, like that's what it feels like with me right now. It's just like I'm just kind of like it's like I'm ready for those nukes to hit. Honestly, I don't want I'm not specifying that we need the bomb to be dropped on us so we can end this nightmare already. But that's what it feels like sometimes, man. It's just like, I don't know. Hopefully, I'm praying that next week Superman will deliver, and there will be at least some hope left in this world, something for me to get excited about, for God's sakes, because the last couple of weeks have just been abysmal in terms of the movies that have come out. The best movie that came out, nobody is going to see because they would rather see Danny Boyle completely destroying his directorial reputation, or a bland Brad Pitt racing movie, or a lackluster Megan sequel, which, by the way, Megan 2.0 just barely misses the top 5, but it misses on everything else. It fell off big time. 62.8% drop off from last week. $3.8 million, $18.5 million. And, hey, it's a Blumhouse movie, but it's going to make its money back. It's cut $30 million worldwide, but it's not going to be anything that's going to make people say, oh, I want to see more from the Megan universe. It's just like, no. Here's what I think happened. I think something's going on at Universal where they're doing this with Megan, and they also did it with Jurassic World, where supposedly there's a different cut of both of these movies they're both of these movies that are not the final cuts out there. I think Universal made an alternate cut of Megan 2.0, and there was a different version of Jurassic World Rebirth out there compared to what the director had. That's what I heard, but with Megan, there was an article that came out this week about how Blumhouse is finally taking the hint that we don't want to see these movies anymore. It's like, we're tired of your stuff here. Because there's an article that came out in the Hollywood Reporter that I thought was kind of interesting, and I might as well bring this up since we got nothing else to work with here. But the article is called "Soul Searching Begins at Blumhouse After Cold Street Capped by Megan 2.0, Not the Sequel Audiences Wanted." And it says here, Jason Blum, who struck out on his own as an independent producer in the early 2000s after leaving Harvey Weinstein's Miramax, was haunted during these years by the fears that he would never succeed on his own. Those years by the fear that he would never succeed on his own. I keep doing that. I keep misinterpreting words here, but that's when he received a DVD of a tiny horror film titled Paranormal Activity that was shot for less than $15,000 by unknown filmmaker Oren Peli. Blum and others believed the film could be a hit and tried to find it a distributor. One door after another was slammed shut, but Blum wouldn't give up and eventually helped garner the interest of none other than Steven Spielberg's DreamWorks. Spielberg himself watched the movie and was thoroughly spooked, according to Hollywood lore. DreamWorks and its then partner Paramount Pictures first released in more... Okay, let me see, because they're just talking about Paranormal Activity success, but... Here we go. Let's go to the next paragraph here. Blumhouse made Universal his home studio per a lucrative deal that allows him creative autonomy as well as the freedom to work with other studios. Among his many successes for Universal, he helped provide the Halloween franchise. He also returned to his prestigious roots with producing Oscar winners such as Jordan Peele's Get Out and Spike Lee's BlacKkKlansman. Now, however, Blum's long-ago fear of failure has returned in the reversal of fortune that began in 2024 and has continued in earnest this year, with all four of its 2025 releases becoming major box office misfires. Wolfman, $34.1 million globally, The Woman in the Yard, $23.3 million globally, and Drop, $28.6 million globally. But by far the most shocking failure was Megan 2.0, which bombed over the June 27th, 29th weekend and stunned Hollywood, considering it was a sequel to an unqualified hit. Released in January 2023, these stupid pop-ups, man. Okay, Megan, about an AI doll who takes on a life of her own with horrendous consequences, launched to $30.4 million domestically on its way to a grossing $181.7 million globally, against a mere budget of $12 million. Megan 2.0, which cost at least $25 million to produce before marketing, opened to just $10.2 million domestically and $17 million globally. So what happened? Director Gerald Johnstone, Blumhouse, and partner Atomic Monster, ran by James Wan, decided to go in a different direction and make the Megan sequel more of a sci-fi action picture, where the doll became the protagonist in the style of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Audiences simply weren't interested in the about-face. Box office pundits and Hollywood insiders also questioned the wisdom of releasing the sequel in the far more competitive summer quarter. That's the reason why that movie didn't do so well, was because you put it in the summertime. The first movie came out in January, early January, in a time when movies like that can make money. Yeah, you're coming off of the holiday releases, but people want new stuff after the new year begins. Megan just came out at the right time to do that, and by putting this out there in the summertime and literally sandwiching it, not even giving it a week before you open up Jurassic World Rebirth, I think Universal really wanted this to fail miserably. I cannot see what they were thinking on that front. But back to the article. Insiders at Blumhouse tell The Hollywood Reporter that the soul searching within the company has already commenced. It is absorbing lessons from this tough year and is reevaluating its slate through the lens of whether a horror film qualifies as a cinematic event in an era where the market for such fare is oversaturated. There's also recognition that Blumhouse's ambition to release as many as 10 titles a year theatrically may be too grand, with Blum agreeing that the box office cannot withstand as many horror films as it used to, especially smaller single and titles. More importantly, a course correction is required in terms of remembering what the Blumhouse horror brand means, with the key takeaway being that what has worked in the past does not necessarily work in today's changing landscape. The company is now looking ahead to October's Black Phone 2, which is a pure horror feature, and December's Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which test audiences are said to have responded enthusiastically to. The first Freddy's grossed a massive $297.1 million at the global box office to become the top earner in Blumhouse's history against a $20 million budget, not adjusted for inflation. Insiders at both Blumhouse and Universal are hopeful that the pick will restore to the luster to the house that the Blum built. Which, I mean, it's opening in December. It's opening the week after Thanksgiving, which usually is not a good sign. But I don't know. Maybe they are onto something. But one pressing matter facing Blumhouse is Megan 2.0 spin-off Soulmate, which hits theaters on January 9, 2026, and tells the story of an AI adult robot companion. While it's too soon to say whether plans for the film will change, insiders say discussions are underway regarding the entire upcoming slate, including Soulmate, but added that the spin-off has tested incredibly well. I think the big problem with that is just that we had Companion this past January, which was a pretty good movie, but people didn't really go see that movie, so I think putting that out in early January as a spin-off to Megan, so a film that nobody really cares about right now, I think that's not a good decision on their part. Myself thinking that, but Blumhouse decided to speak up proactively about Megan 2.0, and Blumhouse's slump in a podcast interview with the town's Matt Belloni during the weekend of the film's opening. He owned up to what may have gone so wrong. We all thought Megan was like Superman. We could do anything to her. We could change genres, we could put her in the summer, we could make her look different, we could turn her from a bad guy into a good guy, and we classically overthought how powerful people's engagement was with her. Blum said, reiterating that the audience wasn't ready to genre swap. He also admitted to being in pain all weekend. Keep in mind, they thought about this after one movie. One movie. That's another mistake that they made. But one horror producer familiar with the inner workings of Blumhouse couldn't agree more, telling The Hollywood Reporter the film's failure boiled down to hubris. They thought they were being all clever, changing the dates and the genre, the person said, adding another horror producer, this was not the sequel audiences wanted. It was the movie that the director wanted. The good news, no one at Universal is freaking out about Megan's 2.0 or about Blumhouse's recent slump, since its titles are far more modestly budgeted than most studio picks. So in the end, yeah, it really doesn't matter because, well, I'll get to it because it's going to say in the article what I want to say here. But it says, one studio insider says, we would be having a different conversation if they weren't responsible. At the end of the day, every one of these movies will make money. All told, the 42 releases from Blumhouse since it was founded in 2002 have grossed more than $6 billion at the worldwide box office. The vast majority cost less than $20 million to produce, and in more cases, notably less. So yeah, like I said, they'll make their money back in due time, but I don't know if it's just going to be, the profitability of that's going to really come if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Now, I think the Black Phone 2 could do very well. I think the trailer they put out last month was really good, kind of giving me flashbacks to that 80s horror film Ghost Story, which is a really cool, underrated early 80s movie with Fred Astaire and also Craig Wasson in it, and also Alice Krige from Star Trek First Contact. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 opening the week after Thanksgiving might be a little bit of a questionable decision. If I was Universal, I'd probably think about moving it into the slot for Soulmate to come out, and then maybe put Soulmate on Peacock, because I don't think that's going to sell to a lot of people. I think Five Nights at Freddy's could do very well in that spot there, but yeah, Blumhouse right now, they're kind of struggling, but at the same time, they're really not going to be missing out on that much. Because like I said, they're going to make their money back in due time, because these films are so cheap to produce, but they do put a lot of effort to what they can do with that money in general for the most part, so they'll be fine in the end. But I do think they're going to have to take a good hard look at themselves and realize that, everyone's talking about how, there's MCU fatigue. Well, you might be right on that, but there's definitely a lot more Blumhouse fatigue than there is MCU fatigue right now. But in terms of the rest of the box office overall, nothing else really that amazing. Lilo & Stitch clocking in close to $1 billion. It's at $972 million worldwide. Well, the good news is that it's $15 million away from finally knocking out the Minecraft movie as the top-grossing film of the year, which it could still end up doing. It'll just take a little bit to get there, but I think it'll just barely get there. I think it's right on the cusp of doing that, but Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is at $191.1 million domestically. Doing better than Dead Reckoning, but still, Paramount's got to make a lot of money back in order for that to become profitable. But other than that, though, the box office right now is kind of struggling right now. All the attention now turns next week to Superman, which should do really well. I'm really curious to see how it'll do, and I think the critical reactions are going to be very important to how this film does, but everything I've seen coming out of it looks pretty good. Everything has been, the marketing's been spot on. They've been doing a lot of marketing all over the place for it. The clips I've seen out there are really good. It just feels like they're heading in the right direction with this, and they really should have something good here. And I think people will go and see it. I'm still thinking that this will be the big movie hit of the year. So yeah, I think this will do very well. And I think it's just about those critical reviews. It's just like, I just hope this movie, like I said, man, it's been a rough couple of weeks here. Just little things, but the big thing with me in particular was the fact that, my source of editing these videos together, Cyberlink Power Director, started acting wonky on me, and I found out that I was uploading too many videos. So I've been cutting down on as many videos as I can, only doing the ones that I have to do on a week. Is as a standard here on this channel, like the time about the movies, talking about the movies, this show here, all that other stuff and all that. I've had to put side projects aside, like the time about the movies clipless versions. I have been able to work on a couple of other special things, like I've been able to do the Christmas in July videos, and those have gone up fine. I just finished today the 2 Thumbs Up Siskel and Ebert documentary part 1, so that's ready to go for the start of August. So I'm not entirely unable to do my usual duties, but little side projects I had planned are going to have to be pushed off to the side a little bit longer, just until this thing starts moving faster again. And I know I said when I talked about this a couple weeks ago, last week in particular, that the clipless versions were going to be held off for about a week, but more likely it's probably going to be a little bit longer than that. Hopefully, once I get everything done, once I get the Christmas in July videos done, once I get the Siskel and Ebert documentary up and ready to go, once I get the September stuff going here, once I get all that out of the way, I should be able to get back to doing the Time About the Movies Present specials easily without any more problems whatsoever. Fingers crossed on that front, but But yeah, next week, of course, everyone's going to be talking about Superman. Hopefully, it'll be the big hit at the box office. The question is, how well will it do, and will critical praise be on its sides? And I don't know how much longer we'll wait for the reviewing embargo to come out for that, but I'm really excited to see it, man. I can't wait to see it. I need it to be good. But so, like I said, not much more to say in terms of what else to do here. I think everyone knows the big new release this weekend that everyone has to get is Sinners, which is getting its Blu-ray 4K release this week. And of course, Sinners is my favorite movie of the year so far. It's a terrific film. You know, Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler can do no wrong at this point. In terms of other new releases of noteworthiness, there's really not much else. There's some catalog titles getting Blu-ray releases for the first time, like Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman. You're getting a new 30th anniversary 4K release of Clueless, some new releases including Until Dawn, and The Amateur, movies I have yet to see, nor do I really want to see. So yeah, Sinners is the big thing that everyone's going to be going out to get, and you should get it because it's fucking awesome. But other than that, though, that's going to wrap this episode of the Reviewing Network Live up. A very truncated episode this week, but hey, it's a holiday weekend. Holiday week, nothing really big came out in terms of news stories to talk about in the world of entertainment. But hopefully next week will be the complete opposite of that. Hopefully I'll have some stories for you, some stuff to talk about, but I wanted to get something out there for you. But anyway, thank you so much for watching and listening to this. If you enjoyed it, want to see some other videos I did, check out the last episode, check out our playlist, hit the like button, subscribe button, notification button, and I'll see you guys next week. So until then, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. We are out.